with the rest of the indices. He thinks it might be putting in a right shoulder, and I could see that happening. We'll see what happens. There's no pre-market on IWM. So this is the only one that has not made a new high. And this would take it down to 180 if we broke down under 210, 190, 280. Something else interesting is with the dollar weakness that we have, this is a big hit in the dollar. Okay. You know, 2 lousy weeks in a row, 91. Are we heading back to new lows? It's possible. Maybe a double bottom, but we'll see what happens around the 90 level. 91 should be pretty good support here. What I want to point out is with all this weakness, the dollar being down 50, that Canada, at least at this point, has held the 61.8 level right here. Okay. So it didn't quite do it last time. This is a full-blown test, and we're getting a nice reaction off it. So we'll see. You know, I'm still positive on Canada, and it's more about what I think is going to happen in crude. I think that's a major reason for my negativity, and now technically it's holding up pretty good. Okay. And we'll see what happens with oil, if it could eke out another high. But, you know, if you recall, for a long time I was saying that we probably would take out the bears with risk on. And that's what happened. Now all the bears are gone. The real test for crude's going to be 61.80, 62. We close back under this. I think we could get continuation to the downside. And what kind of continuation? So, you know, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but this was about a $10 break here. So if we topped last week, that would take it down to 53. When we were down here and I was interviewing Tracy at Shy Girl, her level for looking to buy energy, still constructive, was going to be the low 50s. So this could still happen. Hello, Laura. Okay, so Euro, nice push up. I wouldn't chase it here. If you like it, maybe we'll get a reaction back down towards 119. I don't think I'd be chasing dollar weakness right now. And I wouldn't also be surprised if these were the levels that Blake is looking at for a possible right shoulder in the Aussie up here. Almost have symmetry with the left shoulder now. So is that what's happening now, Blake? You know, we should be near a right shoulder if it's going to happen.
Yeah, 7810. That 7810 is the 618 retracement. So
Okay.
I think that's where, you know, we're going to stall. You know, as the dollar is really weak overnight, when I woke up this morning, I was pretty shocked to see the euro actually above 120.25. But you know, it didn't surprise me to see the Aussie up here. I figured the Aussie was coming up here, but yeah, the rest of the dollar pairs, like the cable, you know, it's setting up a double bottom and everything. So we've got some further dollar weakness that could take the Aussie a little higher, in my opinion.
Okay. What's your take on, for example, you were looking at USD CAD for a while. I know you got out of it with a nice profit. You think we're going to hold these lows?
Well, and you know, that's a good question. And remember, we do have the Bank of Canada this week.
Right.
And matter of fact, the dollar Canadian is testing what I think
61.8.
is an inverted head and shoulder pattern shoulder. But we were down here last week. I actually didn't expect us back down here again. But with all the weakness that we saw in the dollar, it's not surprising, you know, now that we're here, It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that made a lot of sense. But I'll go ahead and take over the
Yeah.
charts.
I'd like to see what you're looking at there.
Yeah, sure thing. And first of all, I hope everybody had a great weekend. We had it was our son's last tournament of the season, which is a shame because we lost to get in the semifinals, and it was a shame. So, you know, after the kids did so well, it was just poor coaching. We had a substitute coach, and that because our other coach our coach had to go to a different team, and it's just a shame. Anyway, I could complain about all that. Any of you guys that have been through kids sports as a parent understand exactly probably what happened to us. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about, like, you know, some of these pairs, and I'm going to talk about the yen pairs. I'm going to talk about I want to talk, you know, about the yen pairs. I want to talk about the move in gold. I want to talk about the move in Bitcoin. So first of all, though, let me just talk about, you know, the Aussie dollar. So I still think that this is a head and shoulder pattern that is developing, and we are building that symmetry. We need to, you know, test the 78-cent level. We could get here. I mean, we could get a little, you know, we could stop here. I mean, is what I meant to say. You know, we could just, you know, stall here. This could be it, but I still feel that we have a little bit further to go. When I talk about like the double bottom in like the cable, you can see how the cable's got that double bottom. We're trying to break through resistance. And, you know, this has a lot of people getting squeezed out right now. Then, you know, you have the euro dollar, as we were talking, it moved above the 120.25 level. And this is surprising to me. When I got up this morning and I saw us where we're at, I didn't think we'd make it this high. But based on what's happening here, I think that there's now a chance that we could rally towards 121, which would be, you know, this 618 retracement, trend line resistance by the time we get there. I think that that's doable. But a lot of this has to do with what will happen with equities. And NASDAQ's under a little bit of pressure this morning. And yeah, I don't know if you guys caught it this weekend, but Bitcoin and Ethereum and these cryptocurrencies really came under pressure on Friday, or on Saturday, excuse me. And there was some news about, you know, the SEC was going to come under, was going after some financial institutions for money laundering with cryptocurrencies. Hey, that's kind of weird, isn't that, Dale?
What? What? That the bad news happened after we put in a 3 drive?
That there might be like some money laundering and some shady stuff happening with cryptocurrencies.
No way,
How
man.
could that happen in such a clean arena? How could that happen when Doggy Coin goes up 1,000%?
Well, speaking
there's
of
no
Dogecoin,
games. There's
speaking
no
of Dogecoin, just because my wife
Dodge.
is rubbing it in my face all day long, because she bought some. not a lot, but enough to where she can rub it in now. So and I have to take it, right. She picked this up several weeks ago, and anyway, needless to say, look, we're almost testing the highs again in Dogecoin. So you can't deny that this thing is just,
reminds me of penny stocks.
It is, and
like they move away from the blue chips, which are Bitcoin.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you know, this is I know I sound like a bit of a dinosaur, and so does Dale, but and because we keep talking about this, but Stelios might. Well, Stella, you weren't trading the tech stocks as you mentioned to me. I was surprised to hear that you weren't trading those back in the late 90s.
I was an amateur at the time.
Okay, well, yeah. Who wasn't? I mean, I was 25, 26 and 27, you know, and that's how I made my first fortune. Imagine my equivalent would be the Bitcoin billionaire right now. And I'm using billionaire, you know, loosely, you know, but a cryptocurrency millionaire, that was my generation. You know, I made most of my money off of GoToNet, and I had 28,000 shares that went from basically $3-4 to like 70 some dollars overnight. So that's where I made my fortune and to start. And so, and if you guys ever want to hear my story, for those of you that are like, you know, oh, what's Blake, you know, where's, let me find it for you. I did an interview years ago with Aaron, Aaron Field, Chat with Traders. He's, and here you go. If you guys ever want to, oh, no, here. If you guys ever want to see my background or anything, or, you know, like hear my whole story is what I meant to say. I'm going to put the link here because it's a, you know,
is NASDAQ under pressure because of a Tesla crash? Is that part of it?
What's that?
Tesla had a fatal accident with the auto drive.
No, as far as Bitcoin goes, well, I think it was the new. Who cares about Tesla crashes? They crash all the time. You know, I know it's the automated thing, but that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to influence Bitcoin. Bitcoin.
No, I was talking why NASDAQ was weaker.
Oh, why? Oh, I don't know.
I know that Tesla isn't a crypto.
Yeah.
I've matured.
But I'm not sure if that's the reason why.
Okay.
Yeah, why NASDAQ's under pressure. But there are, as Trade Journal just said, there's a lot of tech earnings this week. That is true. Yeah. The one thing I want to point out, I guess, is that stocks are very elevated. And the point I wanted to make regarding cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and Dogecoin and all these altcoins that are out there, there's a lot of these altcoins that are going crazy. One of our traders in our chat room, I think I mentioned his name. His name's Craig. He'd been in the crypto years ago. He actually left our community and was heavily into crypto, and then came back a few months ago. And it's nice to have him back. But I know he's learned a lot regarding crypto because he was involved in it a few years ago. And he's like, even all these crappy coins that I have, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, all these crappy coins that were worthless that I had, that I thought were worthless, are worth like thousands of dollars now. And that's exactly what happened in the tech bubble. Just so you guys know, when all the crap started rising to the top was really, we were within, months or weeks or days within the end of the tech bubble bursting, or went just before it burst. When you saw all these stocks that you're like, what the hell did they do? And they don't exist now. You could name, 1,000 of them. They were just rallying. And then all of the, I want to say blue chip, but all of the ones that were the legacy type of, I say legacy type of internet stocks, but the ones that had already moved, the big names, the Yahoos, right? The Amazons, those really stalled first. And then you saw the crap rise to the top, and then they all came crashing down. So I'm mentioning that because you see the move in Bitcoin, you see the move in Ethereum, you even see like the Litecoins of the world, they're kind of stalling. And then I'll come back to that. Then you have Dogecoin.
And they rotate.
Ripping, right?
Yeah, rotation.
It is rotation into the crap.
Right.
Look, maybe Dogecoin is one that makes it. I hope so, because my wife isn't going to sell it. So she's going to lose, the very little money that she invested in it. I know she'll hold it till the very end. And,
well, she'll have a cute meme of a dog. So
she
it's
will,
worth something.
And it doesn't matter what I say, because whatever I say is not going to matter. So she's going to hold it until it goes to zero or it goes to whatever. But that's unfortunately the same mindset of a lot of other people. And just so you know, those of you that are married, I've been with my wife for over 20 years, and you know where I'm coming from when I tell you that it's not worth it for me to argue. I can't, I'm definitely not going to tell her to do anything. You know, like, hey, good luck, congratulations. And I just, you know, pat her on the back and say, you know, good job. That's it. That's
Someone
it.
gave me advice. The best way to avoid conflict is when you see it coming, Blake, just stare at your shoes.
Yeah, there we go. I'm just gonna, you know,
just look down at your shoes.
Okay, but
and
I
it
just,
can't escalate.
I just want to say, you know, I don't know where the top of these things are, but I have to point out that, like, you take Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have broken. Well, Bitcoin's broken some pretty key support here, breaking that channel.
Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned over the weekend, that it's really 50,000 now. I mean, we are below support, and so while we're below 60,000, I don't know if I'd be long now.
Was that a great 3 drive up there?
I'm sorry?
Was that a great 3 drive up there?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. We talked about it. No one in Faith should be surprised by this panic that we had in Bitcoin. We were talking about the bear case technically all last week.
Yeah, it's amazing how, you know, things just, you know, happen when the you know, technically they develop, and then just things just fall into place. Like that news that broke on Saturday night. It happened. I was actually with family. I had, you know, family in town that I hadn't seen in like 2 years, that actually, I take that back, 4 years, that had some vaccines and came over, and it was really nice. But anyway, but that started to happen, and now that that we're getting close to those 50,000, you got to be really careful. We get down there, we should come back down towards 42,000. Now, I'm going to say this, that if Bitcoin does break down, you have to be careful, because I think a lot of these altcoins will then follow suit after that. Ethereum also, you know, we were looking for a reversal at 25,000. We've seen this trend line get taken out. Channel support is going to come in right around 18K or 1800, excuse me. So if 1800 breaks, then you have to be a little careful with Ethereum. Again, I'd be looking at them more as a group versus, you know, one moving the other. Now, I'm going to mention this, and then I want to bring in Steve and Stelios and hear some of their commentary about what's been going on over the weekend and what's coming up this next week. Stelios probably has a good idea of all the central banks that are meeting this week and everything else. But the dollar index came under a lot of pressure today. I was very surprised when I got up this morning and the dollar index broke through that 50% retracement. We broke through some horizontal support. Now, what you'll also see here is the dollar index is, oops, I did not want that. Hold on really quick. Let me do this. The dollar index is also pivoting off of some, you know, this little bit of a breakout point. So you can see we took out this support. We also have support down here. So you can see why it's stalling at current levels. Now, I'm not saying that the dollar is going to bounce here, but if stocks do come under pressure from current levels, then that's, you know, going to offer some support for the dollar. Okay, that's the one thing that you have to think about. I actually, I had some longs in the dollar, US dollar, Norwegian krona. I got taken out over the overnight, but this might be the, you know, sell off, breakdown, then reversal higher. You know, but it all has to do with equities, and right now equities continue to stay really, really pretty well elevated. I mean, look at the S&P here. You know, the S&P, as long as we're above this channel support right here, okay,
where's that come in?
It's about 4160 at this point, you know. But take a look at this, Dale. We're seeing a breakdown in the dollar yen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You called that last week that we were on the verge of it.
Yeah, below
false
109.
break.
It definitely came under pressure. But look at the Canadian yen here. This is if you want an actionable item of the day, an actionable idea of the day, take a look at the Canadian yen. This thing has not been able to rally with risk, and now it is under pressure. Okay. and it is breaking through some supports. We're clearing last week's lows. And remember, the Bank of Canada is this week. So Stelios, Steve, good morning, gents. How are you?
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hey.
How are you guys?
Good. Still have the kids at home, so I'm on
So
the
not
verge
good.
of going insane. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah.
Good. So
what do we got
what's the
going on
stat?
this week? And what do you guys? How do you guys feel about the crypto move? First and foremost, I mean, we saw Bitcoin come under pressure this weekend. It came under pressure when no one was looking on a Saturday night. You know, if you were in Europe, some of you, well, it's Saturday night. Some of you may have been passed out early, but a lot of people are asleep already at that point. So what was your reaction to that when you saw it?
Well, we've been saying for a while, right? What is the use of cryptos? What is it? Are they going to replace fiat? Are they going to be used for buying and selling things? Are they going to be continued to be used for money laundering or whatever else they are? You know, that's the big question, and that's what's going to drive its value in the long run, in my opinion. And I've said before, I think there's a near zero chance of cryptos taking over from fiat, simply because all governments will have to go bankrupt if they do that because of their finite supply. So you can't do that. So basically, what is their use? And it's no secret that, you know, money laundering and, you know, illegal activities are funded via cryptos, and it's a huge amount of the volume being transacted. So if governments start suing financial institutions or basically trying to block this, then a big chunk of its use is gone. This is all my opinion. Obviously, you know, you can agree or disagree, but for me, this is something important. And clearly, the market doesn't care that much. You know, they obviously Bitcoin fell about 12%, which basically took it to, you know, last week's price or something like that, and now it's going back up. So the market doesn't care. So, you know, what do I make of it? I, you know, personally find very difficult to justify, you know, what value do we put to Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin and, you know, whatever else coin. I don't know is the answer. So I'm still not touching them.
And you know, that was, and just to be completely frank with what was happening in 2000, it was the same question. Same questions were there with the internet, you know, craze. No one knew what the valuations were. No, and it was questionable, and no one knew what type of, you know, what the internet would evolve and become. But obviously, the internet was the best thing that, well, you know, it made so much possible in the world. I mean, you know, think about a world without internet, and crypto could be that that technology in the future for this next generation. It could be.
I have to disagree there, because
hold on, Steve. Let me just say that the market is viewing it, whether it is or not. The market sees it as that.
No, I mean, the two are not comparable.
If it's the blockchain, the technology, what's behind it. But let me just, I'm saying whether it is or not, I'm not here to argue that point. I'm here to say that this is the way the market perceives it. And what the market perceives right now is right, because the market's right, because the market's doing what it's doing. Right? Does that make sense? But
yep.
Whether now go ahead and explain why you think that Bitcoin is not the next best thing since sliced bread.
The internet obviously opened up the ability of humans to do things online. That, of course, had many repercussions, positive and negative. The positive are clear and obvious to all of us. They've increased productivity massively. Bitcoin and all the rest of the cryptocurrencies came in the market supposedly because they've kept changing their minds about what they're supposed to be doing, right? Let's not forget that. The rhetoric is changing all the time to fit the narrative, at the time, because I remind you at the beginning they were trying to pass it like one of the best methods to transact online. That was easily and clearly debunked because it doesn't even technologically have the ability to do that. But in any case, now it's being mostly pointed out at as store of value. But even if it manages to satisfy all these needs, we settle to a cryptocurrency that has the ability to have millions of transactions per second, so it can satisfy like global demand to buy and sell stuff. It is also recognized as store of value, etc. Of course, all that would be extremely bearish for Bitcoin, because that would imply that some other cryptocurrency would prevail, which isn't unlikely. I mean, since we're talking about a technological thing, about a technological structure, I mean, when was the last time that technology built something and the first version was the best? But that's another topic of conversation. So if we assume that all that happens, and something is recognized like that, okay, then what? We've found something that replaces in exactly the same form fiat currencies, for example, and gold. So it doesn't produce a new ability, it doesn't open new doors, to do new stuff. The internet did.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I look at the way cryptos have moved, and I think we have to treat them as an instrument right now, just based on technically kind of how they're starting to break down a little bit. But there's obviously something behind crypto, or people are seeing what's behind it, and I think we have to respect that. Right?
It is an instrument of speculation.
It is, but you have a lot of people that are really behind the technology and everything that's and blockchain and
they've been right. They've been right for a few years now, right?
Right, exactly.
So you have to respect that, of course.
And I think we have to be respectful of that. So and I am, but I do think that there is a lot of speculation. There's one thing that I'm going to say about the similarities, and I know I've mentioned this, but I'm going to say it again. There's a lot of similarities between crypto and what happened in the late 2000 or in 2000, is that there is so much speculation right now, and it worries me that you have these. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I know I said this. I have my kids' teenage friends that have made like literally thousands of dollars on $4, $10, $20 investments that they parked it in Dogecoin. And I know it's crazy, but it is what it is, right? And the thing is about all of that is that there's a lot of speculation with these altcoins, and that does concern me. There's excessive risk taking, and at some point, when it all comes down, which I believe it will, there will be there will be those that emerge from the ashes that are the strong companies. And it's the same thing that we saw back in 2000 and 2001. I mean, the Yahoos, the AOLs, the Earthlink didn't survive, Mindspring didn't survive, AOL did. There will be those companies that emerge as the winners. There will be those cryptocurrencies that will emerge as the winners, and I don't know which ones. I don't have the knowledge other than the big ones that will probably be the ones that will definitely survive. But you have to be careful of the excess speculation, I think, in the market right now. So anyway, any other well, I think Dale, it's your interview time, right?
I think Dana said he might be a few minutes late. His kids are going back to school. Have to take them through a health screening. So I told him I'd give him a little
Lucky
test.
him.
Huh? Yeah.
Lucky him.
Yeah. So he
Yeah.
may or may not make it. I figured Steve could probably talk for another.
Yeah, so let's talk about Steve, why don't you take over here and talk a little bit about what's happening with the dollar and what's this move higher that we're seeing in
and let me ask the
euro
whole
and the
team.
cable and everything else.
When's the last time you saw Dixie down 52 and Canada only down 6?
Yeah, and I think and again that has a lot to do with central banks out there, and we do have the Bank of Canada, we have the ECB this week. So are you guys expecting anything from these central banks?
Not anything
ECB
different.
and Bank of Canada, I don't think we should.
Yeah.
Really, nothing.
I don't think we should expect anything different.
Yeah.
They will keep playing on the same, tune, most likely. I mean, why not? Everybody's doing the same, so.
Well, you think they'll mention anything about tightening? I forgot who I think
tightening.
It was Mark Chandler. Mark Chandler said that Canada and Norway were the two candidates that could be the first to taper. Okay, not tighten, but reduce QE.
Maybe I would agree about Norway. For some reason, I doubt the Canada part.
Okay.
But you know that I've remained bullish and long the NOK for a good reason. And speaking of the NOK,
it's breaking down.
It's breaking down. I mean, I warned about it. This was clearly, not a bullish type
bottom.
Of So the bottom fell off. If we close, negative on the day and below this triangle, I think, we are on our way to 815 next. It's the 88.6 percent fib. Now, you mentioned that the Canadian isn't really following suit yet. That is true. But if you remember, I warned multiple times that I think the euro wants to break higher. It is attempting to do so today. That the cable wants to break higher. It is doing so today, clearly. The Aussie was the first one to lead the charge higher because, as I had said, my main case scenario was the pennant and not the head and shoulders formation, which, it's not dead yet. I mean, theoretically speaking, we can still be forming a right shoulder here and still maintain symmetry. But my main case scenario, until proven otherwise, remains a new high because I don't see anything that fundamentally has changed in the way the markets trade, in the way risk is being bid, so on and so forth. And as long as that's the case, I can't see why the dollar would remain and should remain bid. Now, speaking about the dollar, quite a strong move lower today. In my opinion, we are now getting rather close to a key confluence of supports in this formation that you see here. You can call it a megaphone formation. The 61.8% fib of this rebound higher, horizontal support area as well, trend line of this formation as well. All of them pass roughly from 90, 80. I think we break below that, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't find ourselves to new multi-year lows. Specifically, I have my eyes set on this 88, 88.25 area of support next. So, nothing has really changed. I mean, those that are short the dollar and long risk for the time being are still doing very well. Now, we have this key confluence of resistances here in the S&P, but as I was saying last week, and I wrote in the weekend analysis as well, the more I see this type of market conditions, the higher I believe is the probability that instead of getting rejected, we might see a repeat of what we got in the end of 2017, which is like some type of a parabolic move out of this wedge for some kind of a last leg higher in this mania phase, and then see a bigger correction, after we've left no bear alive in the market. So I would be very, very, very careful in trying to short this market, because I see all the necessary conditions to have some kind of a blow off short-term top later, and you don't want to go against that, because it can really really hurt you. Yeah.
Okay, Steve, I just talked to Dana. He's not going to be able to make it till after the top of the hour, so I've rescheduled him. It's important for him to get his kids back in school, like
absolutely,
like everyone. And
I totally feel.
And anyway, and he's great. I'd really like to know what he thinks with all this stuff going on. Dogecoin and NFTs, and I mean, Steve, I can. I've been, like Blake says, I'm older than dirt. I can't remember a time when speculative fever, I know there's a parallel to 2000, but 2000 was a dress rehearsal for this. I mean, we didn't even have all these instruments, and the bubble was concentrated on .coms. Now, I mean, real estate's in a bubble. Commodities have everything. Try and find something that isn't going up is more of a challenge.
It is natural. These are the results of inflation, and by inflation, I'm
asset inflation.
I'm using the original definition of inflation, which is the increase of money supply, because money is trying to find places to go.
And why are they trying to find places to go? Because there's no return on cash.
Of course there isn't, because there can't be any, because all economies are over indebted and they can't afford normal rates. And not only the governments we're talking about. I mean, we've gone from having leverage and excess credit to some parts of the system to having them in all parts of the system. You know what I mean? So nobody can afford it anymore. I mean, many corporations can't afford it, governments can't afford it, individuals can't afford it that live paycheck to paycheck and by over-indebting their credit cards. So, it is, it is a pyramid, right? It is a pyramid, and it will keep on inflating until something happens and ruptures this blind faith in central banks,
and now governments with fiscal support.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It kind of aggravates me that the airlines, after their big tax cut, used all the proceeds to buy back stock. And they also went to their credit markets and they're buying stock with it. It's almost like, every and then they accept handouts. Then they get handouts to stay alive.
Yeah, the thing is that's the problem. The thing is that they did very well. And why did they do very well? Because they did that assuming that if anything goes wrong, they're going to be bailed out.
They should let them go down. There's no competition in the airline industry anymore.
Yeah, the question is, were they right or not?
Yeah, they weren't.
So moral hazard keeps expanding also.
I'm all for survival of the fittest.
Me too. But that's capitalism, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what we're living under right now.
But the system is not capitalism anymore. It pretends to be.
Yeah. Anyway, we're still real and we're traders. And we'll trade whatever the environment is as long as the casino is open, right, bro?
Absolutely.
All right.
And
so
since the casino is open, as I said, I think we're getting some technical events might be going on today. Cable breaking out from this. I mean, I don't think anybody can see this formation and say it was impulsive, right?
Right. All the way up either, though. Before it made a high, that didn't look impulsive. Going back to September, on that first rally. Chop, 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 wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not a
It's-
bad
it's
move since we broke
correct,
higher,
cor-
though.
Yeah. You know what, Steve? I'd like your view of the Russell 2000. It's one of the only indices that has not made a new high. And
Yeah, we've
you
seen
know,
this type of divergence before, if you remember.
yeah. Oh, look at that. Okay. What do you think? Okay. You have it as a triangle that's trying to come out.
No, it's one interpretation. It might be a
Okay.
triangle. Somebody can, if you want to really be bearish, you can also see here the potential of a developing head and shoulders formation, right?
That's what,
Yeah,
that's
but
what my mentee told me. Yeah.
but as always,
It could blow one more time and be a 3 drive too.
as always, you should always plot as your preferable formation the one that aligns with the trend, right? So
Okay.
yes, I do see the potential head and shoulders formation, as I was seeing, and I'm seeing the potential head and shoulders formation here in the Aussie. The question is,
Right.
what is the trend? The answer is higher. So that automatically forces me to consider a pennant in this case as the more likely technical formation from which we've broken out last week, and in the case of the Russell, a potential another potential pennant, a triangle here, a symmetrical triangle in this case, from which we might be attempting to break higher as we speak. So yes, it is definitely underperforming the Nasdaq, the Dow Jones, the S&P, right?
Yeah.
But you can't really claim there is something inherently bearish at the moment here. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. What's it waiting for? Well, another 100 handles in the S&Ps to make a new high, maybe. Okay, so
listen, it makes sense in general for the IWM to be underperforming the rest of the stock indices, simply because it includes companies that actually
are not multinationals.
Exactly, first of all. And second of all, due to that, or also due to that, are companies that do not really attract so much of the speculative money that goes in the Teslas and Apples, and you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So
it's the backbone of American business.
Yeah, so of course it gets influenced by what's happening in the rest of the markets, but at the same time, it has a little bit of a gravitational force, which is its connection to the real economy that keeps it from, really shooting higher with the momentum the rest of the stock indices have.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll wrap it here, everyone. Don't
forget, be back in half an hour.
Half an hour for the Morning Edge with the whole crew. And I want you guys to consider becoming a member and becoming part of our community, so that after FACE, you get ready for the bias chart, and people like Andre and Grega chiming in, and Steve and Stell, team effort. So invest in yourself, and that means you pay the market, or you pay for good intelligence and good ideas and collaboration. So that's a wrap, everyone. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. We'll see everyone for Turnaround Tuesday. Good hunting the rest of the day. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Stell. See you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys. Adios.